follow up on the recent announcement of our state rep, Hank Naughton, who's going on to greener pastures. On behalf of the town and the board, I want to thank him for his dedicated service to the community. He's always been, while he and I may have been on different sides of the political spectrum, his signature landmark character trait that I always appreciated was that he was always willing to listen and sometimes change his mind. So thank you, Hank, for your service to the community. First item is public comment, and we have a written public comment for tonight's meeting from Jeff Swan, 132 Franklin Street. Selectmen, I applaud the effort to both maintain public access and heed the statewide edict to not host large gatherings. I would like to commend Elston Simon and CCTV for the quick advance to make this happen. However, as always, the devil is in the details. The agenda PDF presented on the clintonmass.gov website for this meeting has an issue that will affect the number of people attending the YouTube public access presentation of the meeting. In whatever manner the PDF was delivered to the website, the method did not sustain the hyperlinks. This will have a negative impact on viewerships, since anyone wishing to watch via the YouTube channel will be forced to manually type the 55-character link into their browser. In addition, the same is true of the hyperlink for selectmen at clintonmass.gov. While this email is far easier than the YouTube link, it is still more effort than it needs to be. These two issues are negating some of the progress everyone worked so hard to achieve. As always, I offer my assistance to correct these issues if needed. Be safe, remain sane, and live well. Jeff Swan. Is there any other public comment? And we have the ability for public comment if someone chose to call in on the selectman's phone number. Next item is review of minutes for March 18th and March 26th. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the minutes for March 18th and 26th as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Selectman Kerrigan is participating remotely, and he voted aye as well. Next up is Steve Lipka, Board of Health Chairman. Steve?
Hi, guys. Just bring you up to date on where we're at with this coronavirus. Currently have 25 cases in town. 18 are still active, 7 have been cleared. With a little luck, we'll clear 3 more tomorrow. We thought it was going to peak sometime this week, but right now it's been kind of quiet. So that's pretty much where our count is now. We've got our nurse working full-time for us, 4 hours on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. We're able to get Montechusett Public Health Network to pick up the tab for the extra 24 hours a week. We've got the school nurses working with us. They were trained on Maven, and they did a webinar today, so they're ready to go. So right now, we're in pretty good shape. Just following up with all the governor's orders. It seems like there's new ones every other day. So we're trying to do our best to enforce those. I don't know if you have any questions regarding that.
I don't, but
Doing a very good job. Board of Health's doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Mike, nothing?
No, I have no questions.
Sean, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come up in the budget later or if we want to bring it up now. I noticed that Steve, as in past years, tries to present a pretty lean budget going forward, and I wasn't sure if we should try and anticipate what he might need in the second half of this year and going forward.
Well, I was going to ask during the budget session of this, we're probably gone through 70% of our supplies. We had probably 20 cases of masks, 30 cases of sanitizer, a bunch of gloves. We probably have enough for a few more weeks, but we're definitely going to run low. We have an order in through the Montechusett Public Health Network, but we have no idea when it's coming. Right now, the prices are through the roof for that material, if you can get it. So we're going to request an additional $5,000 in our miscellaneous to hopefully buy supplies maybe toward the end of summer or the beginning of fall, just in case this comes back. like some of them are predicted.
That's certainly reasonable, and we might as well, unless you have anything else on the virus update, do you want to jump into your budget?
Yeah, I mean, our budget is pretty much the same as last year. It came down a couple $100. The only increase we had was the sharps were picking up a lot more of needles from diabetics, so the costs are going up, and that's the only increase to our budget.
But you're recommending now a $5,000 increase?
5,000, yeah, if
Okay,
if
yes,
there's funds
please.
available.
Yep,
Like I said, just in the event this bounces back in the fall,
right,
we
To
can
be-
start looking
to
for
be
stuff
ready.
in the summer and hopefully find it.
okay. Sean, any other questions about the Board of Health budget?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anyone else?
You're not, it wouldn't cost you much more to replace all of the masks, et cetera, that you're giving out this year for next year?
If we bought them today, everything's probably triple the price of what it was when we purchased it over the years.
But you're planning on buying it at
I'd hope to buy
next
it
year? Okay.
later in the summer. If we need some now, I think we have we
You've
have
got
some
an
money
order
left in
in.
our account that we could purchase stuff in an emergency, but yeah, I'd like to wait till the fall to try and reload.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Being none? Anything else, Steve?
No?
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Right.
for all you're doing for the
All
community.
right, thank you.
You, your board, and your staff. It's kind of under the radar and nobody sees it, but we know it, and you're keeping the town of Clinton safe.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Steve.
Next up is Mr. Bailey, the Director of Veteran Services.
How's things?
Good, Brendan, how are you?
Great. Couldn't be better. All right, good evening, gentlemen. My budget, I'm comfortable going forward with exactly what I had last year. I had, in veterans benefits, I had 220 last year. This will be my fifth year presenting a budget. In 4 of those years, I've returned a total of 180,000. If I had to, and I heard Steve, and I know you guys are gonna, pinch pennies along the way, if I had to give up another 20, I feel comfortable I could do it. I don't know going forward how we have veterans now, they're laid off. I don't know how that's, the state and the federal government, how that's all gonna shake out. But I think, right now, I'd like to stay with the 220, but if you need the other 20, the gentleman, it has to come out. It won't kill me, I don't think, but so I'm good with that. My miscellaneous money, my Memorial Day, which I'll like to talk about Memorial Day in a minute, but I'm comfortable with that all remaining the same. So I'm good there. There's a couple things I had looked at. I had some interest from residents this year, and I started looking at 2 things with monuments. One, even though right before I started, I think you refurbished the monument out front here. There's been some people that have approached me. I think I have a total of 6 or 7 that they just didn't get their name on there, or a relative didn't get on there, so, yeah. So I started looking at that, and then there was some interest in possibly going, just starting to get the groundwork for a Gulf War monument, and what that would look like and where. And I did start it, and then just dead in the water at this point because of what's going on. There's just, I can't get anybody. So I'll keep going next year, and then maybe the year after, if, I'll come to you guys with, if we want to do either of those projects, what it would cost. But right now, I'm just kind of stuck with, I know, I just want people to think we've just blown it off, but there's just nothing I can do at this point. There's no, I can't get any bids on it, can't get any information on it at this point. So I haven't forgot those 2 projects. It's just, so I don't need the money for it now, is what I'm getting at.
Thank you.
The only other thing, gentlemen, is, and I really don't need a decision at this point, but I did talk with Selectman Jakonski about it, and I talked with Mike Ward, is Memorial Day. I don't know, I don't know what Memorial Day is gonna look like. I don't know if it's gonna be, your decision or the state's decision. But I would like, over the next couple of weeks, to just I can email Mike, or we can just, talk or whatever. If we can't do something at a large gathering, possibly doing something here in the hall with just the people that normally speak out in the park, Mr. Selectman Jakonski and whoever the guest speaker is going to be, and the valedictorian or something, so they can probably, and I'm just throwing this out there. If someone has a better idea to the general public, please throw it out there, but if at least we can do something and televise it, but I don't know if we'll be able to do large gathering even at the end of May. So I just wanted to kind of, make that public, and if you guys, got any input or, any questions or something you want me to look into in the meantime, please let me know.
Probably up to the state.
I think the best course of action would be to have a contingency plan if we're not going to be allowed to have large group gatherings, which, I don't know, right now, the scheduled date is May 4th for most things to be locked down till. Who knows what's gonna happen. So it would be best to have a backup plan,
Okay.
Just in case.
just in case.
Yeah, I would say, I would be very surprised if by May 31st, we're back to large gatherings.
Well,
Be very nice, but again, nobody.
It'd be
has-
lovely, it'd be
Yeah.
great, but,
Just in case, have something to fall back on.
but we're gonna have to talk about,
town meeting
town
and
meeting
the
and the
election.
election too, so.
So, well, Brendan does have some contingency plans, and we'll do a conference call with Harold Vanass, who's always been very much
Yep.
involved, and try to come up with some alternatives. But like I say, Brendan has some good ideas.
Okay, any questions for Brendan? Sean?
Sounds good, thank you.
All set?
Great.
Brendan, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for another good year.
Thank you for a great year. Next up is Mr. Duffy.
Good evening, members of the board. I've been asked to speak loudly, so hopefully Sean can hear me. I'm coming to you with two matters, one of which requires, actually I think they both would require a motion. First of which is, I mentioned at our last meeting, is a request to seek amendment to our fiscal year 17 Community Development Block Grant to reprogram approximately $100,000 of funding from the Commercial Improvements Program to create a new micro assistance, business assistance program. You have for you a memo that describes what a micro business is, what kind of businesses would be eligible under Community Development Block Grant rules. But in short, a micro enterprise is a business of 5 or fewer employees, where at least one of those employees is the owner, and also that the owner or owners qualify as earning less than 80% of area-wide median income. So it's a program intended to benefit low and moderate income persons, as almost all CDBG-funded activities are. We're still in the process of kind of designing what the program would look like. We're working with our consultant from Community Opportunities Group, and they're in regular contact with DHCD. But the outline of the program is that it would effectively make about $15,000 available to qualifying businesses as a grant. We're looking to basically assist them during this difficult time. The reprogramming includes money for administration. What that number is now is kind of will depend on how much administration is required, especially on follow-up. The reason that most communities don't do business development through CDBG is because the administrative heavy lifting is much greater than, say, housing rehab or an infrastructure program, or planning, or a public facility like the senior center, or social service. So most communities tend to shy away from it because of that. Right now, the working number is about $75,000 available for assistance and $25,000 for admin, but we'll have a better idea if we can bring that number down based on DHCD guidance.
Okay, Phil, does anyone have any questions for Phil?
Yes, when you're talking about admin, who would be doing the admin?
Our
Would that
consultant.
be your office?
It would certainly be our consultant in the front end, in intake, and all the negotiation. We had to find out what the back end is going out 2 years, because I think there's a 2-year tracking period, how we would handle that, if we would keep that consultant under contract for that 2-year period to periodically evaluate performance, or if it would be in my office. So that's one of the details that we're still working on.
Okay,
Let me get this, you'd have to hire an outside source just to handle 100,000?
Yes.
I'm sort of with John on that. Why would that be?
That's because of the funding source. It is a heavily regulated money from HUD. It's why for the last number of years, we have hired staff to administer our community development block program.
Okay. Now, just for the edification of the public and whoever, I have some experience at working with the federal government and
Yep.
spending their money. And the administrative requirements are truly mind-boggling. So I sort of was curious myself, but
No.
now that you say HUD, I can
Yeah.
understand it.
We've established a program here in town, and we're doing that much more economically because we feel we have the latitude to do that because of our funding source. That's not the case here. It comes with the territory, with CDBG.
Any other questions? Sean?
Sorry, no.
Okay. So you need a motion on this first item.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize the chairman to sign amendment request for Clinton's FY17 Community Development Block Grant with the purpose of creating a micro-enterprise assistance program.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Sean?
Yeah, I just wanted to give Phil a little credit here. This is obviously extraordinary times, and to be able to be nimble and just keep up with the demands, I just hope people understand that we're doing the best we can to make sure that these businesses are taken care of until federal help arrives. It's a hard time for everybody, and this was supposed to be a time that we're reloading downtown, and I just want to give his office some credit for moving quickly to get some funds available wherever they're available. Wherever we can find the funds, making them available to help these businesses out.
Agreed, Sean. Anyone else? Anything else? Motion made and seconded. What's the pleasure of the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Yes, aye.
Unanimous.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second matter has to do with the Small Business Resiliency Loan Program that we established, I think, only at your last meeting, or was it 2 meetings ago? We are beginning to process applications and make awards. To date, we have received 10 applications. We have made 4 approvals. We have referred 1 for further review. 2 came in after we did our first round of awards. And 3, unfortunately, we had to 3 are unfortunately ineligible according to our current program guidelines. I'm coming to you that's an update on the programs. We've made $20,000 worth of loans so far. And those checks those requests for checks have been submitted to the town accountant and town treasurer and will be arriving on Friday. Our program guidelines and the guidelines that attach to the money which we're using for this program require that the executive approve these loans and act as signatory to the documents. Again, we have not done this since 2005, which is the last time we did a UDAG loan. I'm requesting that, given the desire to do this in an expeditious way, and also to provide a modicum of confidentiality to the borrowers, that the board delegate your authority to enter into these agreements and extend these loans to the town administrator for his signature. Effectively, we'll be working on a different cycle than your meetings, and it'll allow us to process these and move them out quickly.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to approve loans through the
Small Business
Small
Resiliency.
Business Assistance Program, the town's Small Business Assistance Program.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Just, Mr. Chair, if I could, just to let everyone know that the loan comes through the Economic Development Office. There's a 3-person review panel that will be making recommendations, and then I would review those recommendations to process the loans. Any action that's taken, I would then like to pass on that information to the board so that the board is aware of what's being done. But I think Mr. Duffy was just looking to try to find a process that maybe might be a little bit more expedited, that we could move quicker on them if loans continue coming in every week.
Is there any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you, Mr. Duffy.
Thank you.
And thank you for as Sean said earlier, for your fleet-footedness and adapting to try to help out our business community.
Thanks, I think that's what we're here for, and we are moving quickly, so thank you for the kind words.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is fiscal year 2021 budget review. I'm going to ask that we table this to our next meeting. I would like to have Selectman DeVault be present as well, so that we can all ask questions
Absolutely.
and we'll try to go through it expeditiously, but I think everyone should be involved and be familiar with what's in the budget.
Mr. Chair, if I could as well, I think that would give opportunity to try to get more information from the state. There is some discussions that I'm hearing of maybe having to reduce some local aid numbers. I don't know if that is going to mean that we're going to be getting cut from our proposed number that's in the governor's budget, or from our current number, depending on how difficulty the state feels that next year will be for them based on this crisis. So I'm hoping that maybe within that time period, we'll get a little bit more feedback. I think the governor's office and legislature are having some discussions to try to come up with a game plan. So it would help us to give direction, because right now, this document here, at least for the board's review to look at it, it's all of the departmental requests, and it's all of the projected revenues based on what we knew from the governor's budget from, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Things have changed considerably, obviously. So if we can, better we can update that, the better information you'll have to make your decisions.
Along with that, we're going to have to be making decisions about whether or not we can or have to postpone our town election and town meeting. If we don't know what the numbers are going to be, and like as we were saying earlier, that Memorial Day, we might have to be still subject to the large group meeting limitations. That's going to affect our town meeting, which is June 1st?
June 1st, yeah,
Right.
and Mr. Chair, you're right. This year, the first Monday is actually the first day of the month, so it
Right.
it's that cycle that comes up quickly for us, where sometimes it's the 7th, so when it's on the end of the cycle, it gives more time. So you're right. I think the legislature just passed some relief for cities and towns for town meetings, and possibly, getting to the point of maybe having abridged budgets going into next year. Elections too, some communities are moving elections and town meetings. They're only allowing people to have elections in April and May, to move them right now. But we'll keep an eye on that to see if that changes. But town meeting is definitely within the purview of the board and the town moderator to move. And since we are on the 1st of June, it might be wise to give us a couple more weeks until later in the month,
So we'll have to wait till we get a little closer and we see how things are shaping up. But along with that, part of the budget process is warrant articles and opening the warrant and closing the warrant. So at this time, I'd like to propose that we open the warrant with a tentative or a proposed closure date of, Mike, what do you think works, assuming we're going forward with town meeting on the 1st?
I would say probably for this month of April, because obviously 2 weeks before the board's next meeting, we wouldn't need to have them by then. But I would certainly like to have a draft warrant for your first Wednesday in May. So whatever that.
So why don't we close the warrant Friday, May 1st?
Perfect, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, because what's the May
6th.
6th is that meeting, so that's perfect, yep, that'd be great, yeah, yep.
So if the board's so inclined, I'd like a motion to open the warrant and with a closure date of Friday, May 1st.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Sean?
so if it did get bumped back, would we consider extending that, or do we just want everything up front now as far as warrant articles go?
I think the ability to extend it would remain with this board, but at this time, I'd say we'd set it for that date, and if we can make that work, even if we postpone town meeting, we'll still be in good shape. We need to know what the articles are to do the budget and to do town meeting, so, while we could always extend it if we were so inclined, I don't see that being of value, even if we have to postpone town meeting.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
None.
There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? That concludes the fiscal year 2021 budget review for now. Next item, no, we don't have administrative business, old and new business. VFW Poppy Drive. I have a question about this, Mike. Would they be able to conduct this under current? Regulations?
They wouldn't, it's in May, so under the current,
May 23rd.
guidelines, we probably wouldn't, have them do it, but, if things change come May 4th, they wanted to at least approach the board for approval, and they did put in their letter that if they understand that if things change or they're not allowed to, they're good with that, but they just wanted to at least move forward with their plans to put the program together anyway, so.
Okay, the VFW Poppy Drive, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 523 is requesting permission to sell buddy poppies at the intersection of High Street and Church Street on Saturday, May 23rd, to raise funds for veterans' causes. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we grant the VFW permission to conduct a Buddy Poppy Drive as requested in their letter.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Next item is Mulberry Water Tank Painting Contract. The Superintendent of Public Works is recommending award of the Mulberry Drive Water Tank Painting Contract to Marcel Payer Incorporated in the amount of $347,626. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No.
There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Next item is surplus police vehicle to facilities. The Director of Facilities would like to use a vehicle that has been surplus from the police department. It will be used to transport equipment and act as a maintenance response vehicle. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we grant the request of the facilities manager.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sean?
Yes, aye.
Unanimous. Next item is determination of useful life for fire engine. Borrowing paperwork for the bond purchase to fund a new fire engine requires that the Board of Selectmen make a determination of the useful life for this apparatus. Michael?
So, Mr. Chair, as the board indicates that the bond council requires that, there is a determination made by the selectmen for, as to what this vehicle, how long this vehicle will be used to determine how long we can borrow for. I think I talked to the fire chief, and he was saying as a frontline vehicle, the last time the board did this, I think it might have been for a ladder truck. At that time, they said ladder truck is probably a 25-year use of a vehicle, but the fire chief indicated as a frontline engine, it's probably more like 15 to 20 years. So the treasurer thought, maybe 20 years might be a little bit too long, but 5 years is too low, so he was looking to maybe borrow for 10 to 15 years. So, if the board wanted to make a determination that it would have a useful front life of first line use life of 15 years, and then allow the treasurer to determine come borrowing whether the numbers look good at 10 or 15 years, and he could determine how long to go from there. So,
I would think 10 to 15 would be more realistic.
right.
So the treasurer is asking that we determine it be 15, and then he can adapt.
Right, yeah, he thought a good number would be 10. The fire chief thought, 15 would be probably, the useful life of it. So, so if you say 15, I think it covers both of their needs.
Right.
Just to refresh my memory, what vehicle is this? What are we talking
It
about?
would be a new fire engine.
A new pumper?
Right, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's all I wanted, and I couldn't remember. I knew there was a new vehicle in the offing, but.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope that that would last 15 years. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we determine that the useful life of the vehicle that we're about to borrow for is 15 years.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Annual town meeting warrant articles, oh, I guess I jumped the gun on that. But, so we don't need that one. Are there any committee reports?
Chair?
Yes, John?
Yeah, we'll put this under the cable committee. I just, again, wanted to thank people. We're trying every avenue available to us to make sure people can still stay involved under the governor's state of emergency where we can't have a group of more than 10. It's obviously still a work in progress, but the YouTube live looks good. And I just want to thank people for their continued patience and perseverance as we try and figure these things out.
And thank you, Sean, to you and the cable committee for working on this for us. Are there any other committee reports? Are there any goals and objectives discussion? There being none, our next meeting is scheduled for April 22nd. Is there anything else from the members? Next, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, if someone was so
So
inclined.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, I never thought I'd miss you guys so much.
I don't think it's us you miss.
It's the limelight.
Thank you, Sean.